This is episode 351 of the Gold Squadron podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Will, hungry for some sand wedges, Hegwood, and tonight I'm joined by Marcel. I'll know what I fly the morning of the tournament. Manzana.
Yeah, that's where I'm at.
Rolling the dice. Morning of. Gotcha. We also have Orion is now unlimited. Staniszewski.
It's so unlimited. I have stacks of unlimited right over there. There's a lot of cards. I only bought one booster box, though. Talking
One
about Star
box?
Wars Unlimited. Only one booster box.
Wow.
Because this is my first card game I've bought into in 20 years.
Yeah.
So
I remember when I started
it's fun to
Destiny, and I was
play.
like, I only get one box.
I participated in 3 pre-releases. All of them were fun. It's a good time.
Is
Excited to play the game more.
Are you playing the limited format?
Yeah,
I like the limited formats in Unlimited. Yes.
that's.
That's the best joke.
I don't even know. That voice you hear is James. Rebels overrated? Ritter.
Are they overrated? Let's see. Let's dive in. Let's dive into this cookie of Rebels.
Well, before we do that, I got to let everybody know about the largest group of GSP supporters. That's right, we love them. It's our GSP Patreons. They are really the heart and soul of GSP. It's what gets us to events, helps out, and on just day-to-day costs of operations. But they do get special privileges, though, on our Discord. They also get shareable art from our past projects. But you're going to have to go to patreon.com/goldsquadron to find out more. All right, anyways, moving on to headlines. Someday we'll make this an official thing we do every time. But if I keep doing it, it'll have to be in there. Anyways, we are looking at rules. We're talking rules.
I think to be specific, it's rules clarifications.
Well, rules clarifications. That's right. Josh Taylor, one of the judges for Worlds, the Worlds team, again, doing an amazing job. Now they're doing prep work and homework, and not just doing it for themselves and putting in the little judge packs. No, they're releasing it out on to the internet in the wild, and we're going to take a look at some 2024 Adepticon rules clarifications. We're not going to read this through. I'm going to post a link. It's definitely in our Discord already, but also I'll put it at the bottom of this YouTube video if you're watching later. So there was 22 rules or so, and I just want to read this out. The bolded, underlined portion here at the top. These are not officially sanctioned rulings by Atomic Mass Games or endorsed by Atomic Mass Games in any way. These rules are intended for use at this event only, referring to Adepticon, obviously. We love these judges. We think they're so smart. Non-sarcastically, these are the people we are entrusting with the rules, decisions, and for better or worse, James, it's best if we just all play by the same rules. Man, it's to make it so much easier. So,
Even if you don't like that ruling.
It's
honestly, especially if you don't like that ruling.
The wounded pilot ruling.
Oh, they got me.
I'm literally call me baffled here about it, but that's not on this rules packet.
If only you had a baffle.
If only I could electronic baffle off those wounded pilot stresses. Anyways, rule number 1, by the way. The event organizer expects you to play in a sportsman-like manner. Judges will be enforcing sportsmanship, and will not tolerate unsporting conduct. That should be a blanket rule, as a note, for everybody. That's why I had to say it again.
Feel free to use that in your own local events.
Yes, that is a rule intended for all events. Yes.
Don't be a jerk. Make friends.
Well, especially not to the judges. Like, come on.
Oh
They're
god.
doing like
Yeah,
they're
good
doing
luck
like
being a
hard
jerk
work.
to a
Out.
judge. Have fun with that one.
It's not gonna go.
Yeah.
Well.
You want to go home early? That's your way to go home
Yeah.
early, right there.
Not gonna go real. All right, so we're gonna hit some of these for better or worse. So we'll do it as quick as we can. We'll paraphrase. I'll start with the first one here. Will Battle of Endor be legal for Worlds? Will proxies be allowed? And essentially, Battle over Endor will be legal, as they had clarified a month and a half ago or so. It feels like forever ago, but there is, though, a proxy you can receive from the event for the standard loadout cards if you were unable to acquire one. Say it was on the way to your house and while you were heading to Adepticon. You know what I mean? And those specific proxies will be used. Very specific here. If you're watching at home, player created proxies will not be permitted. So don't even bother. And that's it. You got to bring everything else, obviously.
Yeah, so you just get the standard loadout pilot card. You still need to provide everything else: the base, the pegs, the model, the dial, the ID markers, and the ship token itself, and the ship.
They even got fancy tarot-sized sleeves for you as well to make it nice. Yeah. So
it does say that you can bring a card behind it because it is only paperweight. It's not actually like the cardboard stock. So if you do want to bring another standard loadout size card, feel free, and you can put it behind it.
So it's if I'm hearing, it's just paper. It's not like
it's probably computer paper in a sleeve, yeah, for efficiency or like I don't know. I don't know how to explain it, but
for cost effectiveness.
Cost effectiveness. You're right there with me. Why don't you take question number 2? Like I said, feel free to paraphrase.
All right. Will intentional draws be allowed? I paraphrase yes.
They will.
So yeah, they'll be allowed and addressed at the players' meeting immediately before the start of the LCQ and the World Championship. Basically,
so
it has the same rules as always, right?
Same rules as always.
Yeah.
Clarified that.
Yeah. So basically, same rules as always. Is you are not allowed to speak with your opponent ahead of time, or say like, if you do this, then this is the probability, and so basically, it's just don't try to convince your opponent ahead of time. So it's just that's what it is.
Probably as a note, like the judges will expect it from like tables 1 through 4 in the last round. I don't think the math supports you intentionally drawing the last 2 rounds.
It does actually.
The 8 and O's, the 8-2-0.
No, the 8 no's can intentional draw the last 2 rounds and get it in.
And lock in 4 players. If there's 8 undefeated.
16.
So
16,
it is.
No. I'm saying round 9, 4 8-0 players can just lock themselves into the top 16.
They should be able to, yeah.
Interesting. Though, if I remember last year, there was only one 8-0. So that's probably not the scenario that's going to happen.
I mean, I think we might have more people in the Swiss this year than last year because AMG has to honor more Worlds invites available than last year. I think we're going to have more than 190, which is what we had last year.
Wow. That's crazy. So, all right. We'll be keeping an eye on those top tables. For everybody else in your regular events, you don't need to intentional draw. Just play the game. Have some fun. James, why don't you hit question number 3?
Wow, this is a good one. Does transferring a lock token behave the same way as transferring a lock? Question mark. No. Transferring a lock token will trigger a transfer of a lock. This results in breaking the original lock on the source ship and acquiring of a new lock on the ship the lock token is being transferred to, ignoring range restrictions. So it's not quite exactly the same, but a lot of the wording is very similar. This mainly only really matters for Hollow, I think we're working out. But
you're like one question away from it mattering for another thing too.
Yeah, we'll talk about that one in a second. But and Holdo.
I believe those are the only people who can pass lock tokens.
Transfer lock tokens. Exactly.
Everybody else transfers their lock they have on a ship.
Yeah. So if you do have any transfer shenanigans or have any questions about that, definitely dive deeper into question 3. And up next, question 4, Ryan.
All right. We have, all right, so this one's a little more complex, but the answer should be pretty simple. If a resistance ship carrying Amlin Holdo crew is locked by an enemy ship and then uses Amlin Holdo to pass the lock to a different friendly ship equipped with Ferrosphere paint, assuming the Ferrosphere paint ship is not in the bullseye arc of the ship, who owns the lock token? Does they trigger Ferrosphere? Basically, yes, it will trigger Ferrosphere because the ship which has had its lock token transferred has acquired a lock onto the transferee, and triggers rely on the lock being acquired on the transferee are triggered. So yes, basically, Ferrosphere paint will trigger as long as that ship does not, the ship that has its lock, not have that Ferrosphere ship in bullseye. And this is where you the TO or EO at a regular store event would ask people to raise their hand who brought Amlin Holdo crew, and no one raises their hand.
Well,
but we have a lot more people at Worlds, so you have to cover as many things as possible.
Last year, there was a brave soul who flew Hollow at the World Championship. So, you know.
Is it
yourself
you?
on the back anymore?
It was me. It was me.
I was like, I'm pretty sure you flew it. Are you calling yourself a brave soul?
Oh, I didn't win, so pretty brave.
Yeah,
you took the wrong.
You did.
I was so close to the right list, but I
was gonna say you didn't lose your third game till round 8, right? Like you were in it for a long time.
I was in it for 15 games. I still was doing pretty good. 4-1 day 1. But enough about me. Let's keep going about rules. This is more about locks. Question 5 says Oddball, Siege of Coruscant, and Axe, Siege of Coruscant say gain a lock. Must you follow the acquiring rules? And the answer is yes. Gaining a lock is acquiring a lock and must follow the range restrictions. So no shenanigans. It's acquire a lock. They just will not errata a standard loadout card.
No weird Dutch things. No weird long range scanners for those people who remember that card. You still have to abide by the range 1 to 3.
Yeah.
Gain a lock equals acquire a lock.
I better say gain a lock and ignore restrictions. So.
Yeah, it needs that second clause.
Right. Okay. What was it? Marcel. Question 6. It was size 6. I just realized that.
Can Scythe,
Scythe, like a
Scythe 6 ion maneuver
tool
jet be used for a scenario action? And the answer is no. A ship can perform a scenario action only during its perform action step. A ship cannot perform a scenario action if it is granted an action at any other time. Ion maneuver jets happen before the perform action step.
Yeah, the iron maneuvering jet's just
it used to be your. It could only be your main action. Did that change now?
No, this is reinforcing that.
Okay, so it's the same rule. It's just reinforcing it.
Ion maneuvering jets is pattern analyzer for size 6.
Yeah. It says after you fully execute a K turn, spend 1 charge to perform an action, even while stressed. Because that is not your perform action, you cannot use it for scenario actions.
There you go. What about question 7? About Aaron Kraken.
Aaron Kraken. When using Aaron Kraken Gunner, on the Lando Calrissian Battle Over Endor card. Does Lando apply the deplete token effect before or after the bonus attack? Additionally, if Lando has no other non-lock red or orange tokens before doing the bonus attack, does Lando have the ability to reroll an attack die because of this deplete token due to Millennium Falcon title? Very good question, and people are gonna be asking this. So thank you very much for posting this. So let's get to the answer. The deplete token is acquired prior to performing the bonus attack, which definitely makes sense. The deplete token will be resolved during the bonus attack. After Lando rolls one fewer die during step 2A of the attack, because the deplete token is removed, and it is removed before step 2B, which would mean that if you do not have another non-lock red or orange token, and you're doing the Aaron Kraken Gunner ability, you do not get a reroll. Again, if you do not have another non-lock red or orange token, and you only have the deplete that you took for Aaron Kraken Gunner, you do not get to reroll. Does that make sense?
Yeah, tokens go away in 2A. Makes sense to me.
Okay, I have a feeling that's probably going to be the one that comes up a lot that people have to wrap their head around, especially if they're flying a complicated ship like Lando.
Who's also coordinating like linked actions to other people. Yeah, I'm sure.
Coordinating double red actions, yeah.
Anyways, let's keep it going here. On to question 8. About Soontir.
All right, so if a ship has swarm tactics, used to treat its initiative as 6 if Soontir fell able to use Apex Predator to reroll a die while attacking the ship? No. Swarm tactics actually makes that ship's initiative the value of the swarm tactics carrier. It's not something like heightened perception, which allows you to engage at initiative 7 but not be initiative 7. So that's sort of a differentiating factor. So when you get swarm tactics, you are that initiative, and if it brings you to 6, Soontir cannot Apex Predator reroll you.
Okay, makes sense to me.
Get out Apex, Mr. Fell.
As a no, Apexes reroll against people who aren't initiative 6. Am I correct? There's no other qualifications.
Lower initiative than you.
Lower than you, yeah.
All right, that's fair. You wouldn't be much of an Apex Predator at like initiative 3 then, huh? Anyways, moving on to more Battle of Yavin stuff, and this is Gina Moonsong and Braylon Strom. Those are the 2 B-Wings who like to be at range 2 of each other and both stressed so they can pass tokens and whatnot at the start of engagement. The question is, though, if one of them is stressed and the other is not, but is able to gain a stress at the start of an engagement, can you trigger both abilities? So this comes from, I believe, Ryan brought it up with ferrospheric paint. If Gina locks somebody because Braylon's stressed and now she's stressed, does Braylon get his focus token? And no. To get into the start of engagement party, you got to get through the bouncer of the ability queue, and Gina won't be let in if she's not stressed. So she never even gets added to the queue if she's not stressed at the start of engagement. Easy as
and then correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this also applies to customizable Gina and Bo Braylon. That
yes,
if Braylon is not stressed at the start of engagement and Gina, it doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't really matter. But if Braylon is or if Gina is stressed,
Braylon gets the token.
Braylon gets the token. Essentially, no matter what, even though she has to pass it, you can resolve it before she passes it.
Exactly, because you get to choose order. Would you look at that? Because both of their, in that situation, customizable Gina, both of them did get into the queue. They got to that party.
They passed the bouncer.
Exactly. They got through the ability queue bouncer. So, interesting. So, no, Ryan, you can't Ferrosphere paint to give Braylon a focus.
Yeah, but I mean, I like that because now my Ferrosphere paint still works, but they can't weaponize it.
Mm,
which is good.
yes.
Also,
Yes. But
we actually have it's an ability queue thing, which is like
it's an ability queue. Can
it's someone something do ability queue. How do? And
I
we've been told.
can I pause for a second and try to understand? Does when did the B wings gyro things trigger? Is it just when you're stressed?
When you gain
When
a
you get
stress.
stressed, yes. When you gain,
Gain
so that'll just happen. So yes, if they were to get Ferrosphered, if Gina was getting Ferrosphered off taking that lock, then yes, she could still get the evade because it's just when gain, not when gain when doing the thing
red
afterwards.
action, or
So
It's
she
not ability queue thing. It's just a thing.
so she actually wouldn't mind target locking a ferrospheric ship then to get target lock and evade.
If she's only focused, yeah.
No, if like she doesn't want to roll, or maybe
Roll.
Braylon's gone. Braylon's not even in the picture anymore. He got
Yeah,
destroyed.
but I'm saying like if Braylon doesn't need a second focus because he hasn't locked and he's already done his barrel rolling focus or whatever,
Sure.
and Gina doesn't want a barrel roll, then yeah, you could just get the lock and start of engagement, triggers the stress that you're getting, and then you can get the evade for the gyro juke.
Wow. Gyro, a lot more versatile than I originally had looked at. Marcel, are you ready for question number 10?
That sounds scary.
I recommend just clicking the link for the answer, I guess, but it's
I
a
think
whole thing.
I think we
Yeah,
could just skip
so-
over and say that's a whole thing.
You mean skip over the whole question?
It's a question about, can a Hera B-Wing with the gunner slot provided by the title, double tapping with multiple weapons, when does she get that lock? And yes.
From weapon system officer specifically.
Yeah, and the easy answer is yes, she can.
Yeah,
If
you
you're-
can.
Well,
there's,
so
there's a whole thing.
Yeah, there's more in that forum link that D. Yoon answered this back in September 29th of 2021.
I don't want to click on this link, but what does it say? It's just it's a whole thing.
The question
whole
is
thing. It's just how it says.
the question is exactly the same, but so the original person who posted the question in the forums, their setup was of the context of the situation. The B-Wing Hera with Blade Wing, Plasma Torps, Weapon System Officer, and Auto Blaster Cannon. Let's just say it's Proton Cannon, because that's what we'd actually use these days. And Auto Blaster's banned. Hera with a lock attacks with the Plasma, and she doesn't spend the lock. So after the attack, in their order of operations number 2, she spends the lock to perform the bonus attack for the proton cannon. Can she get the lock back from weapon system officer after spending the lock to do the bonus attack or not, basically? The answer is, Dean basically says the sequence of that is not correct. So this was specific into the yes, if you spent your lock from plasma, weapon system officer would let you get that lock back to then spend it for the B-Wing extra cannon shot. But in the forum question, to clarify, they were putting stuff in the wrong order, and they didn't have to spend the plasma torp lock or whatever. They kept it, and they were wondering if they could spend the lock to do the foils and then trigger weapon system officer after that, which is the incorrect order.
So the correct order would be attack with the plasma torpedo. You have to spend the lock, or you don't have to, but you should spend the lock.
Yeah. Attack happens with plasma torp. You check for weapon system officer to trigger if it's able to, and then you would do stabilized S foils,
which would allow you to do the
cannon attack.
But you would not have the lock for the cannon attack.
Correct. Lock would be gone.
That's that was a journey. Let me tell you.
Just about in all cases, that lock is gone unless you have like a Hera who's kept a lock in capacity for a modification purpose, something like that. Outside
this is Hera.
That shit.
So you need a second Hera.
Yeah, sure. That's Hera number 2.
Okay, well, if you are flying Hera B-Wing, double check that rules form. I think we can give Marcel question 11 then.
Yeah, he's been playing a lot of FO. Or has in the
Deuterium
past.
power cells. You don't understand deuterium power cells.
Yeah, they can do anything you want. So can deuterium power cells be used in combination with fine-tuned thrusters to get a lock or a barrel roll action, paying a stress instead of a strain, deplete for the action? And the answer is, although power cells would allow you to swap out a strain or deplete for a stress, you would now be stressed and therefore unable to perform the lock or roll action unless you have another ability allowing you to perform the barrel roll or lock action while stressed. Without such an ability, you will not be able to swap out the strain or deplete and perform the barrel roll or lock action. It's a lot of words. Basically, they're saying no. Like when you
No, it doesn't work anymore. I think we played it for a long time that it did work.
I don't even think we played a long time. I think it was just, it might have been the reverse thought that it was nested, kind of like the whole wounded pilot with a linked action type of thing, and just deal with 2 stress if it happens. But no, this one is different.
Right, because
this is not like the linked action. It's like you are taking an action before your perform action step after you fully execute. You want that to not be strain deplete, so you are now stressed, and then you would move into your actual perform action step, and you, unless you have a way to work around the stress by rule of your card interactions, you just can't continue doing actions.
No. It's the same. It's similar to the tractor rotate on Nantex. You have to be able to get the tractor token, and you have to be able to rotate your arc. And if you can't do one of those 2 things, then you can't do any of it. Which is similar, but so basically, deuterium power cells, Atai, BA, and Proud Tradition doesn't give you barrel roll focus and stressed. Not anymore. Not ever. It shouldn't have ever worked, is what they're saying. Easy. Easy money. Take number 12 too, Marcel.
All right. Excuse me. I don't know if I can take this one. Can I spend Wolf's Arc 170 Arc charge to reroll range 0 attack? Basic answer is no. You can't do it.
No, not range. Not range. Can you say that again?
Reroll 0. Oh, I get it. Can I spend Wolf's Arc 170 charge to reroll 0 attack dice? And it's a simple no.
Yeah, if it said up to 1 attack dice, you would get us on that rules Lauren, but it does not say up to. Okay.
All right.
Who's taking it? Who's taking it?
I got it. I got it.
You got it? You got it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Question 13, lucky 13 or unlucky 13 in this case, because we're talking about Click and Adi Gallia's abilities to prevent range bonuses from being applied with TIE Defender Colonel Jindin's ability. So if you need a reminder, Jindin says, while you perform an attack, you can spend a shield to apply the range 1 bonus. Awesome.
Is that all Chiss Engineering?
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. I thought that was...
There is another TIE Defender. Josh, thank you for writing this up. Anyways, I'm sorry. I'm getting on semantics. Just keep going. Just keep going.
Is that the Chiss? That is the Chiss Engineering ability. All right, fair enough.
What's Colonel Jindin's ability then?
Colonel Jindin's ability is while you defend, if you're not shielded, you may change one of your blanks to a.
My Jindin's always shielded. Or destroyed.
Or Jindin's always shielded, yeah. Or destroyed. There's 2 states of Jindin.
Okay, sorry. Go.
All right. While Click or Adi Gallia have a similar ability to prevent range bonuses, they have different functional requirements. Adi must be defending range 1 and spend a force to deny the range bonus, and Jindin cannot spend a shield to apply the range bonus again when at range 1 because the attack already had the range 1 bonus. Therefore, there really is no interaction between their abilities. If Adi spins the force, there's no way for Jindin or any other Battle over Endor, Chiss Engineering to apply the range 1 bonus. Click, however, They need the lock on Jindin and to spend a charge to prevent the range, or the defender actually would work as well. To spend a charge to prevent the range bonus, because both abilities would trigger when a player defense performs attack. Player order will determine how they enter the queue. No matter the order, click prevents the range bonus. Period. That's it. How? Just to explain that in further detail, if Jindin is player 1, the player can spend a shield to apply the range 1 bonus, and then click can be like, nah, no. However, if Jindin is player 2, click triggers first, spends a charge, preventing the range bonus, preventing Colonel Jindin from triggering it. So, interestingly, it kind of comes down to a player order thing of the Republic
You
player.
You stopped at one more sentence there.
The only difference, you can spend the shield only to have the benefit denied. Exactly, that's what I'm going to explain. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, all good. So Jindin can, if he's first player, spend a shield to apply the range 1 bonus. Then Click can just turn it off. But if it's the other way around, Click has to decide before Jindin does. So he has to decide, I'm spending this and just preventing from Jindin from even having to spend the shield to apply the range 1 bonus. So, which is
I have a follow-up question to this.
Also up to the Click player to remember they can do that, especially if they're the first one, right?
If they're first player.
If they are second player, yeah.
No.
Oh,
first.
sorry. If they are first player, yeah. You
because
definitely,
if they're first and they just like opt in, they just don't. Then like the Jindin player says, I'm gonna use my thing. The Click player can't just go back and be like, oh wait, I'm gonna do the thing.
There's no like, oh, now it's your turn because you missed yours here. We can go back. No, there's definitely and honestly, it probably needs to be a conversation. If you have a Chiss Engineering defender and he has Click, like there needs to be a conversation of, this is how this ruling works. If I am, if Jindin is second player and I'm shooting, you should probably just talk to your opponent and be like, I will give you an opportunity to do this. So I will say, player order triggers, and then if there's no triggers from you, I'm gonna spend my shield. So take that how you want, but it's gonna.
I only have one question. I think you explained it well. Can I just spin Click on any attack then?
You technically can.
Wow. Okay.
I'm glad we.
It doesn't need a range bonus to have me trigger Click.
Prevent range bonuses from being applied.
Oh, because it's like a blanket statement. But then a second player.
If there's no range bonuses to be applied, then you've used it.
Yeah.
You have used it. Interesting. But it is like you can't now apply a range 1 bonus.
You cannot apply a range 1 bonus, so he can't even spend
there
would be no reason for him to spend a shield if Click is first player.
Right. Interesting. Okay.
So, I would definitely have, if you have Click or Jindin in your list, I would definitely have this saved on your phone or print it out, whatever, and just have a conversation before the game begins with your opponent about this. Of like, if both of you are there now, like if Jindin and Click, this is how this works. Because I just want to try to avoid all feels bad. Like,
they gotcha. I'll be like,
they gotcha. Yeah.
I'm second player.
Yeah, and I didn't tell you about it, so yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, call a judge because your window.
Every time Jindin attacks, just call a judge.
Yeah. Judge, I don't like this ship. All right, we'll breeze through 14 here. Item Versio continues to work as intended.
Or as it's been ruled many of times in large events.
It's never been ruled any differently. It continues to allow her to block both an entire proxy mine or just the rolled crit of a string of damage. Either way, she could do it all. But apparently,
I want to clarify what you mean by the rolled crit string of damage.
Okay, so if you actually, I don't know how rocks work, but I do know that you can cancel all of a proxy mine, because that is one logical group of damage. Okay. You can cancel an entire attack's uncancelled hits if you would like, because that's one group of damage. What's crazy, though, you might not know this, is that you can also do it for a single amount of damage that you would take. So if you imagine, the great example here that they have is Aiden defends, and she is now taking hit crit. She's a 3 health ship, no shields or anything like that. She can look at that. She can take the single hit, she can take the crit, flip up that, or reveal it, or whatever they call it, assign it face up. And if it's a direct hit, Aiden can actually cancel the extra damage from the direct hit, because that is a new pool of damage. Either way, it's working as intended, as it always has. So if you're flying 4-point Aiden TIE Fighter, no updates for you. This is kind of in the same vein. Question 15 says, how does the point of destruction and access damage done to Separatist Sturge get handled? Basically, all of a destruction happens in Aftermath. So just wait for the entire attack to resolve the deal damage step as per normal. Do it in the Aftermath step. Now, outside of an attack, Dirge triggers when it has damage cards equal to its whole value. And we're just going to use that same logical grouping of damage that Aiden just explained to us. And I think we're going to apply it to Dirge as well. So if Dirge takes 2 damage from a proxy mine, and the first one destroys him, he's going to take the second one, and then trigger his ability.
Yeah, so I would still call a judge for that one, because that one is a little bit.
I'm going to ask him about that. I will ask my questions are about proxy mines special damage and rock special damage. I still have questions about them, but logically, you can think about them
logically
in a specific way. I forget who we're on. This is actually a ruling that came up in the last Worlds. Marcel, do you remember this one? 16.
Worlds, let's see. If Scourge gains a stress, and some sister uses their ability to track their Scourge, moving Scourge so that Scourge no longer has arc on the defender, can Scourge gain stress to rotate, having the defender in arc again to continue, or does the attack immediately end when Scourge does not have the defender in arc? No, he could. Well, let me read it first, but I remember.
Yeah, read the answer
rolling
first.
the dice during step 2 of an attack, Scourge has the arc defender. Scourge may, if immediately before rolling the dice during step 2 of an attack, Scourge has arc on the defender, Scourge may perform the attack. So basically, yes, he can attack.
If he's gathering dice, he's gonna roll them.
But he had to be able to roll before he was tractored.
Obviously, yes. I agree. But you do not have to rotate yourself back to be in arc again.
Really? So you could be in arc, rolled out of arc.
You can be in arc range 1.
And then as they rolled out of arc, and then you don't even have to rotate back to still roll dice?
Nope.
Wow, super cool.
You gathered a range 1 attack shot, triggered your ability to add a 4th dice, and other things happened. Other things happened after that, but you gathered 4 attack dice.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know what to do with these now. I'm gonna roll them.
I just remember that, like, Chris and all of the judges, like, were like sat down, and Andrew and Nicholas, and was like, this is how we're ruling this. And because they had a lot of questions, let me tell you.
So there's really, if this is you and your 7th sister, there's really no reason to tractor Scorch if he got arc on you. He's gonna roll the dice. So you might as well use it to jam.
I mean, you can move them into your attack arc or move them.
You could, yeah.
But I guess
there's no way to prevent him from rolling it.
Oh, you know what? I guess that's.
You could move it to be obstructed, and then you'd get an additional
I guess this
defense die.
doesn't. I guess this doesn't answer obstructions or moving from range 1 to 2 or moving from range 0 to 1. I don't know how to check the range on the attack after you've gathered the dice. I guess you're not attacking at range 0, so you can modify all of a sudden.
Hopefully, no one brings Seven Sister. We don't have to worry about
Judge called that, by the way.
Yeah,
If you're about to Seven Sister,
Yeah.
Scorch,
Before you Seventh Sister. Before you Seventh Sister.
Yeah.
Call a judge.
Call a judge. Just so you, not because you might be playing it incorrectly, just so you and your opponent are on the same page, which is what these rules are all about. Anyways, let's keep going here. 17. It's on to you, Ryan.
Am I able to look at what card I would be dealt before deciding whether or not to use abilities that trigger before you'd be dealt a face-up damage card, such as Beskar, Plating, or Chewbacca Rebel Pilot? Yes, is the answer. Kind of been the same for a while, including with like Grievous's Imperium Plating, or such as Impervium Plating. You can look at the cards before deciding whether to spend a charge on Beskar Plating or Chewbacca or Impervium. And then we move on to a whole bunch of text about Padme.
Padme.
Okay, so let's.
You will.
No, we're gonna rapid fire these.
We've done these before, actually. Yeah,
Yeah.
we've actually done these before, leading up to like Nova and Gen Con and others.
So things Padme can't stop. We'll start a category. Things Padme can't stop. M9G8 if it's coming from a non-defending or attacking ship. Also, Emperor Palpatine if it's coming from a non-attacking or defending ship. Is that as clear as I can make it?
If they're not in the attacking or defending pair.
Yeah, if a non-attacking or defending Palpatine crew or M9G8 Resistance Astromech, their abilities are allowed to be used. That is not
to modify more than one focus.
A ship. Now,
because it's the other ship that's doing the modification, not the the attacker or the defender.
I guess I just thought about this rules clarification. What if Palpatine's also in Padme's arc? Does that matter?
Only matters for the attacker and defender of what is happening at the time.
Yeah, I mean, technically, they are still just modifying one. So.
Oh, that's true. They are modifying a single result. So, it doesn't matter if
that is a good question. That is a good question, though.
I never thought about that, but you're right. Those are only single modifications. So
I'm pretty sure Padme says, well, attacking or defending. But that is a good question.
Okay. So what can Padme prevent? Or what does she actually interact with? It might be a better way to say it. What are some things that her ability does interact with?
So CLT, adding the focus result is a dice modification of a focus result. So that would be your 1. So you would not be able to modify a second dice. Saturation salvo. You cannot spend a focus on your attack and then re-roll your opponent's focus result.
Sounds tricky. That's 2 different modifications, but Padme doesn't care about that.
Modification steps. Yeah.
Padme doesn't care about that. She says 1 per
during an attack.
An attack.
Yeah, and that attack is the defense and attack roll bracket.
And then I think just the blanket. What's a modification? Adding, like a CLT.
Like CLT.
Changing, like spending a focus token.
Gemmer as well.
That's true. That weird cannon he has. Rerolling and spending. Spending would be like for Thane, Kyrell. Who else spends tokens? Spends eyeball results. Some sort of Director Krennic optimized prototype.
Oh man, I wish I would see more Krennics out there.
People don't like it. Well, targeting computers 1 point, so that gap is really huge these days. But again, it's not solely the act of changing a die face from one face to another. Like I said, got to encompass spending and adding into modifications,
And
as
re-rolling.
always, and rolling, of course. Not just
so
focus
a lot of people
spending.
will try to spend the one, like your focus token,
Mm-hmm.
on a focus result, and then try to reroll another focus result. It's like, well, I'm not modifying I'm not changing it.
I'm not changing it from one
still
side
a
to another.
modification.
Right. The Han, I know it's not in this, but as a note, Han would only be able to reroll the first eyeball result and all other results. And the other one actually gets stuck there.
Everything you can do.
Right. So that's interesting. To see a couple changes, a couple reassurances. Like I know this one was a big one that I don't think the community was pretty split on for a while. The do you look at the damage card for Beskar? Because it doesn't say you do, but do you? And it turns out you have to. If you're a Delta face-up card, you didn't reveal it at some point. You know what I mean? Like it's as if it just appeared in your hand face up, and you got to look at it.
Yeah.
So, pretty interesting stuff. Thoughts about anything you guys really disagree with?
Nope. I don't think I disagree with anything. When in doubt, don't only listen to us when we said things on the cast. Please refer to the actual document that's been shared across multiple Discords and will likely be shared in future communications for Adepticon, and read it yourself and ask questions to the judges directly.
Or you can just hit that exclamation point Adepticon, and it's already linked in our Twitch chat.
There you go. I mean, a pretty blanket rule for all situations is the moment you and your opponent disagree, call a judge.
Or even have a question about something.
The moment you both shrug, be like, I've never seen this interaction before. Judge it up. Yeah. It will never be bad.
Read the FAQ, print the FAQ, live the FAQ, and then still, if you know an answer for sure, 100%, and your opponent has questions or is still unsure on that ruling, call a judge, because I have definitely been like, I am 100% right. Like, there is no way you're going to tell me I'm wrong. Call the judge and be like, I was wrong. Like, wow, okay.
Yeah.
So definitely, if either player has any questions, definitely time to call a judge.
Wait, no. All right. That's exciting stuff. Again, judges, they're doing the best work out there. The real diving in the books, doing homework, taking the heat for maybe people disagreeing with their particular rulings. But I think they're some of the best from all over the world. In fact, we mentioned it previously, they could buy tokens. So they're getting a lot of support, hopefully, from you. Anyways, let's move on to our second to last Adepticon's next week. Do you guys know this?
Yup.
Next week. Crazy.
Trying to do this one
me and Mark.
Yeah.
That's fair. We have the Rebel faction game plan. How do you fight against the Rebels? If you're not a Rebels player, what should you expect from them? They got some new Battle of Endor ships that came out, but we are looking... Ryan, you pulled up the numbers, so we're looking before or after the Battle of Yavin came out?
Battle over Endor, you mean? You said Battle of Yavin. That's the only reason why I mentioned.
That's fair.
So
Why they
these
call them both
numbers,
battle?
so these numbers do likely include the Sith Taker Open that happened last weekend or 2 weekends ago, which had Battle over Endor stuff and the new loadout points changes. But it's going to be such a very small percentage of the overall numbers that it's probably not going to make enough of an imprint of change. But still, a lot of the general trends, just overall, Rebel faction is the most popular faction this entire year. Is easy, like slam dunk. 25.35% of the meta since the points update, and within the last 3 months, though, it dropped about just over 1% to 23.99. It's basically 24% of the meta. Most popular pilots start with Boy Luke with about 54.51%, Han Solo at 50.16%, Sabine Tai at 48.09%, and Keo at 41.01%. Everyone after that is 25% or less. Obviously, big note, Han is very likely going to be a pilot that gets a nosedive drop in that percentage because his loadout change dropped him to not having a very easily definable loadout at this point, to where people would consider him to be a competitive take. I don't doubt there will be some Hans at Worlds, but there's definitely going to be a lot less than we would have had if it weren't for the loadout changes and Endor points. And speaking of Endor as well, we wanted to go through some quick thoughts on the Endor pilot pieces that we believe are likely to show up at Worlds, which includes Wedge, Gina and Braylon, Gemmer, and maybe Lando. I guess we'll start with Wedge. Has any of us played Wedge so far? Just actually used him as a ship?
Yes. Yeah, very good.
Okay. So what are your guys' experiences with Wedge? The good, the bad, quick hit.
You can't stop this APT. He's going to get you.
Pretty true.
Pretty true. Definitely partner him up with Finn. That link stress or deplete is very helpful to get rid of.
Marcel, what about you?
I've used them with Luke, Gina, Goran, and Sabine. Very good. Very. It reminds me a little bit of of Luke in a way, just because of getting that extra focus and being able to double action at least once. Getting some defensive rerolls, so it's and that extra shield. So he's actually very survivable on his own. Doesn't really need a whole lot of help. I've also flew him with Hera, Wedge, and then it was Hera, Wedge, good Gina, big bad Gina, Braylon, and Sabine, and that also was pretty good. Just 2 6s, so 5, 4, and an objective getter. For the most part, I've just felt that Wedge is a really good standalone ship. Doesn't really need anybody else to, like all the other wedges or the other 2 X-wing wedges need a coordinator or need something to make them worth the 5 points. But not this one. This one is, I think this one is a good standalone ship. I would actually choose this over Fenn Rau on any list easily.
Yeah, I think
Strong
if
words.
you're deciding between Finn and Wedge, I would say you really need a reason to bring Finn over Wedge. Like the rest of your list needs stress clearing or red token clearing. So
yeah, but if you can bring both without sacrificing too much in the rest of the list, it's a really good trick.
it is very, very strong. It does kind of tie them together sometimes, but usually you can like kind of tie them together on the engage and then kind of split apart after that, or vice versa.
Well,
they come in.
Finn Rau's range 2 though, right?
He is range 2, so it's a pretty large,
but
pretty large tie, but it's still
you want more than just Fenn's ability. You also want to have it's a
range
trap
1.
active.
And it's a
Yeah.
trap.
Wedge.
It's a trap. Yeah,
It's
that
a
is
trap
so
does
big.
actually matter. That means he's much less likely to take random chip damage before he starts engaging close.
Exactly. Yeah, definitely on the engage when you're bringing him in, have at least one friend with him. That being said, all those good things that we just talked about, it is still just a T65 dial, which is okay. The blues are okay. But if he does get stuck stressing himself a lot to do those linked actions, he can feel, as someone put here, very sluggish and can be outmaneuvered. But the roll focus is very nice on the on that dial.
I assume if you focus boost, you take a strain and a deplete and a stress.
You would take both,
and stress. Yep, because it's a linked red action for the
and it's
boost.
anytime you boost is the
anytime you boost. Yeah.
Double check the order of them on the card, because I know one of them is token first, then reposition, and the other is reposition then.
Bear roll is first.
Roll first. Yeah.
You got to complete the roll. You don't have to complete the boost.
Yeah, it's the same thing as old school Flappy Wings.
So here's the question:
focus red boost.
I guess I should. What am I trying to say? If he fails the boost, what happens? I know
Locked S foil says after you perform a boost action, gain a deplete token.
There you go.
You have not performed it if you failed it.
So focus into linked failed boost, only stressed.
Yep.
Interesting.
So if you're not sure if you have range 1 and you want to be sure, and
so
you
could focus Astromech, try to boost, and fail.
Yep.
And not have it deplete.
with the lock, you'll be able to check if it's range 1 or not.
Well, maybe I still want to boost. Anyway, sorry, I'm getting off track.
I'm not sure on that one. I thought that if you did the thing, you have to take the price, but it's not really a cost.
But that's what But you didn't perform the boost action.
Yeah, but you cannot. If it was worded,
take a deplete, then
deplete first.
Like we were just learning about the
perform a boost act. Like if it says you may take a deplete to perform a boost action, then you would be stuck with it no matter if you complete it or not.
Right,
yeah,
but
just like the BAs.
If you fail a boost, and if you fail a boost and then you try to boost later in the round, you can't because you already tried to do the boost. You already did the boost action this round.
That's correct.
Correct. Yeah.
So by that logic, you performed a boost. You did the boost action, even though
the relevancy of that, I generally like. So, one, I don't know the final answer for that 100%, because I have yet to see in the game someone failing an action then trying it again via whatever means they can.
I'm thinking like hope,
which in this case is like I don't know where that wedge is even getting the second boost from. Is my point.
Well, it just
a coordinator
in general. Yeah.
I don't think you can do the same action twice, whether you pass or fail to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
That's a great question, though. We'll look into that.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
I guess it would have to be a situation of someone tried to coordinate wedge a boost before wedge activated. He failed that boost, then moved, and then he's trying to do another boost later.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because unless you're Lando, you're not. There's no I6 core. Well, Fen Sheathapede, I guess. Whatever. Tangent too big. Let's move on.
Too big.
I blame you, James.
It was an
answer at some point.
To be fair, we're going to see a lot of wedges. So I have a lot of questions about wedge, and I want to make sure my understanding is correct.
Yep. On to the B-Wings, and by specifically, it's Gina and Braylon, because that's the more likely combo we've been seeing. That's our Mauler Stabber from Yavin, pretty much. These two B-Wings, very strong alpha, dangerous arcs that can mitigate roadlock issues, specifically Gina, since her lock is start of engagement based. All of the combined additional defense seems small individually, but as together, it's strong. Your shield upgrade, your It's a Trap, and every other turn of aid combines to real defense mitigation, especially if your main engages at range 3. Like that's what they want. They want to engage at range 3, especially Gina, because she's Torpin anyway. It doesn't matter. And then with all that, you got the bombs. The types of bombs are already good: proton and ion bomb. Beyond that, you have every turn you have the chance, as long as you have bomb charges available, to drop a side bomb. And if you are taking B-Wings like this, you need to be aware where you can go and not bomb yourself, which is important. But also, if you're going against it, you need to be aware how much space that covers, and it's a lot more than you think, I would assume. I haven't played them yet because I really want to play them, and I don't want to catch myself into diverting my time spent on B-Wings before Worlds, since I'm not flying them. Spoiler, I guess. If anyone knows me, I've been on Resistance 5 ship T70 for forever. Yeah,
News
5 ship
alert.
T70
Ryan
for forever.
not flying B-Wings at Worlds.
Yeah. But if I had more time to try them, I might. I will definitely be playing them after Worlds. But any of you guys play them or have a lot of notes that you've done against them?
Yeah, lose one. The other one is very neutered.
Wait, lose one and what?
The other one is very like powered down.
Yeah,
That is objective. That wasn't a
B-Wings.
question. That wasn't up for.
Yeah. No. Well,
that wasn't up for
Technically
discussion.
true, but only with their only with their pilot abilities.
Right,
Everything else
yeah.
about them stays the same.
they're
It
still
does, yeah.
B-Wings, and they still get the free evade every other turn. So they're not. I mean, they're definitely not as good, but they're definitely.
To clarify, every other turn as long as you have not done a side drop bomb, because that does spend one charge, whereas the evade spends 2 charges from the same charge pool of the gyro ability.
Got it, but yeah, I mean, what I'm saying, it's still a B-Wing with a potential evade if you're not using the bombs is pretty good. So
that to me, that I was surprised by it. It essentially turns them into like an 11 hull ship. They start at 9, and they assume they can get an evade turn 2 and an evade turn 4 without dropping any bombs. It adds up to a lot, let me tell you. Yeah, I thought it was like, that's just one B-Wing. Yeah, we can take it down.
And it's a trap.
No, the re-rolls. Oof.
Yeah, the reason I was also saying like is because I do think that Custom Gina and Braylon are still are still good.
I think you get a lot. I think you get a lot of value out of that 1 point.
Personally. Yeah, you do get a lot of value out of that 1 point. But if you've got a list that needs the additional 12 points somewhere else,
that's true.
Gina right now with so many arcs around and so many big bases ships with plasma torpedo and proton can really chew through those arcs and through those medium and large base ships really easily.
It's true. It doesn't matter how many re-rolls, how many evade tokens you got if you're getting hit by a plasma torpedo.
Yeah. Another thing about that is that you get the bullseye if you're shooting at, let's say you're shooting at Jag and oddball is on the edge of it. Because it's the bullseye and it's only taking the bullseye into account. It doesn't. Oddball wouldn't be able to pull the.
You're talking custom Gina.
If you're speaking to the proton cannon for Gina, yeah.
Proton cannon, yeah. Like if you're doing the plasma proton follow up on the arcs, it just works really well.
I actually think more people should try. I'm not sure if it's better, but they should probably try proton cannon with a bomb of choice, and then if you have like a talent or a delayed fuses or whatever, instead of the plasma proton. I think the proton cannon's probably the more important shot to get. I get what plasma can do. It's good at I5, and Gina can lock roll or roll lock into it. I think commonly the double shot is a trap anyway, but that's probably the base version to start off with. Is the one you're talking about, Marcel. But I think the bombs in general help the B-Wings from being chased too easily, because that's the bad thing about the B-Wings. Their dial's still rough to deal with. They need a strong turn 0 approach by their user to maximize their movement around the board. Their barrel rolls need to get them in spots as best as they can. If you're flying the B-Wings, you probably don't want to take big obstacles because that restricts you moving around the board. And that also means if you're going against the B-Wings, you need to put rocks in spots that make it difficult for them to approach you or play in the middle of the board. So to make them go off in one section or corner, basically, unless they want to try and navigate rock areas. So
yeah, I think the bow B wings are solid, but I think the onus is on the player to really maximize their effectiveness.
Yep.
It's
not
nearly
easy,
as
but
easy
it
as
is very
wedge.
scary for your opponent, I will say.
Yeah, if you maximize it to its full potential, and your opponent allows you to, you can definitely, rock some stuff. But it's not going to be easy. It's going to take some practice at the very least.
Yep. Will, do you want to move on to Gemmer?
Yeah, so Gemmer is that new A-Wing. So specifically he can change blanks into eyeball results, which is like very good. He can also do it on offense with his semi what do I want to say? CLT. You add
CLT.
you add the eyeball result in bullseye at range 2 to 3. So those are both amazing abilities. I forget what else he has, but he's got defensive rerolls as well as he gets to calculate if he's got no tokens. Is that right?
Yeah, if there's a ship in your front arc and you have no greens, you get to calculate.
Cool. So like that is great for one-on-one. I personally, is up for debate. I think he might be better than Keo, better than Wedge, the best 3-point A-Wing. Now he is low initiative, but that survivability for defense is so good. If you can fly with a friend, if you're not out there trying to 1v1, you can use those rerolls just like any other BOE to maybe help out with a second shot coming in on you. But really that value is spend your focus for defense and then spend that calculate for offense, assuming you lined up the bullseye. Very, very good. You do have your turret as well, so you got all the fancy things you can do with that. Very, very good. The problem is, that's the good. The bad, if there's two ships looking at you who want to shoot you, and you don't have any of your, it's a trap. Is that what it's called? It's a trap either way? No. What's the rebel one called?
It's a trap.
What's the other one? What's the
No Escape is Empire.
Escape.
Yeah, that's
right.
Offensive one.
Is that what Palpatine says? There's no escape for your friends?
No escape for Empire.
Is that what Palpatine says to Luke in the throne room? That there's no escape for your friends?
There's no escape.
Yes. Okay. I was like, just double check it. So yeah, that second shot though, especially if you have to spend your focus and your ability on the first one, either way, you're going to be down a modifier. And hopefully you didn't have to strain yourself to convert those blanks to eyeballs. So I think he's very good, but you really have to fly him in those one-on-one engagements or try to hide him amongst your other ships. Because I think very rarely we see like him line up the bullseye and like take a lock to do... what do we call it? Or what do we equate that ability to? The TIE Brute's targeting assist, astromech, or whatever they call it. So he could be out there locking and getting double modifies, which is crazy because that kind of sounds like Keo shooting a cluster missile, but only in bullseye. So either way, I think I'm rating him very high though, personally. Maybe the best 3-point A-Wing.
I still like Keo more.
Would you say that uh, they're both better than Wedge?
I actually don't know. I might
Mm,
still like Wedge more than Gemmer, but that might be because the lists I want to put Wedge in, I want more offense out of that 3-pointer
you
than a defense
you like that
piece.
boost into range one, like Predator with Wedge A-wing?
It's not even just that, it's just minus the agility. And
Oh,
just
sure.
like these 2 dice matter a little more than normal, and Wedge
That's
doesn't
fair.
need Bullseye for that. Gemmer needs Bullseye to sort of equate that.
I can see that. I can see that.
And then like
The
Wedge getting crack shot is, I think the average Wedge loadout crack shot marksmanship is just, it's pretty good. It's great to have a 3-point like box hunter. Like Wedge, go get that like 2 or 3-point ship that's holding a box, and you're not sending like a 4 or 5-pointer to go do it. Just like,
sure.
here's a 3-point Wedge. Just like, got it, bro. Let's go.
Okay. I like
Little
how
teenage
you're I
Wedge.
like how you're giving them a role, like what they succeed in. I
Yeah.
like that. What about Lando, the new Falcon that
Do
came
we
out?
want to go over Lando? I
No,
mean, do we think
I
we
don't.
got
I don't think so. I think we can
we
move
are
right on.
running out of extra time, and I think Lando is in the extra time category.
That's fine.
Extra
Let's
time.
uh, just like uh, what we
We were
are
on the fence if you're
expecting.
going to add Lando or not anyway. Can he be good? Yes.
Yes.
But there's mostly better stuff in Rebels that I think we all like more than a list with Lando, right? We kind of,
Competitively, there's probably better Falcons. For fun,
Yeah.
oh,
I
Lando's
don't know
fun as
actually
heck.
I mean,
about
I
that.
think this Lando is the fourth best Falcon in the Rebels.
Okay, well there you go.
4th, wow,
We'll
that's
move.
probably
We'll
Well, you
move
lower than
get.
I
on
would
with
put
no
him.
other comments.
Oh yeah.
Anyways, let's go into scenarios then. Uh, how do rebels uh, look in scenarios? What is their advantages and disadvantages? Who wants to take assault?
I'll start.
Okay.
So assault. It's glad they don't. Rebels are pretty happy to not have to spare their actions for like buttons and holding boxes, because a lot of times they like using their action to apply the offense they want. Luke wants to use his target lock to use his torp. Gina and the B wings want to still be able to do their action and link it to a roll, so they stress themselves. Um, and then those A wings like having tokens so that they could have their defense or offense pumped up while they're moving around very fast, contesting those objectives. But most of the time, rebel bases are not bringing anything outside of small bases that we've kind of seen. I guess maybe some people have been trying B wings with Cassian to free up their dial a little more when they want to move around, pulling their stress. So that might be a medium base running around as a U wing. And then obviously a Falcon, maybe. Um, we'll see. Worlds is going to be a better indicator of like what the direction of the Rebels faction is probably going to look like in the more near future. Long term could definitely change. But as of now, what we've noticed, what we see, predominantly small bases that really, like the fact that, oh, I don't have to spare my action in assault to do an interactive scenario. And if you bring in those B wings, pointing arc in an area that has a lot of assault spot can make someone really scared to go there, and also scared to go there after they've moved through it when the bombs are dropped. So there's assault for them. James, do chance.
No chance of that happening. Uh, advantages for the rebels on chance. They have some really big alpha strike potential and a fair amount of odd number valued ships. So that efficiency goes up a little bit on odd number valued ships. B wings can be very dangerous with their just their front arcs throwing out tons of damage, and their gyro bombs contesting the range 2 bubble around the chance objective. So can be a little bit dangerous there, and rebels are very good just at doing damage and in some cases surviving that damage. So pretty solid contenders for chance. But if the dice don't go their way, or if they have a bad engage and they just get a little bit outflown by their opponent, and that big alpha strike doesn't go well, it can go downhill very, very quickly. And they are a little bit road dependent to make sure that they get those locks or get the positioning that they need to do that big damage. So if you're able to get a better engage than they did on that first big engagement, you can probably have a much better chance for the rest of the game because they're neutering that big alpha strike. Marcel, you want to take salvage?
Salvage. Let's see. So the advantages are that the advantages are that you guys wrote. I'll see if I agree. Has some of the best cheap units in the game with Sabine and Keo. I would just say Sabine, Keo, Gummer, and Hole. So there's a bunch of them. Then Luke only loses out on barrel rolls when holding boxes, can still attack speed with it. And not many ships outside of Keo can pick up a box and be okay taking shots at the same time as a you guys called it a dis as a
short for disadvantage.
Disadvantage.
It's a dis. Uh, anyway, so not many ships outside of Keo can pick up a box and be okay taking shots at the same time. I'm not sure I agree with that. Like Luke can pick up a box and not care about taking shots. So I think Luke's pretty good at that. I think that Keo obviously, and especially if you're flying something like Cassian or Hera, which are two versions that I've been looking at. One of them with Hera A-wing can help obviously just provide tokens, and then with Cassian helping with that coordinating for the box. Um, well, I think they're fine. Actually, I happen to think their salvage is really good for them, especially because a lot of their ships or a lot of the main ships that you're taking have some type of crit crits. Whether all the X-wings have that attack boost into advanced proton torpedo, Hull has advanced proton torpedo, Wedge has advanced proton torpedo, and then of course Gina and Luke have the regular proton torpedoes. So proton, 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 and even if you're taking custom Gina, you're probably taking the bullseye, which is easier to line up on somebody who has a box. Just so happens. So I think the advantages, they have more advantages than disadvantages when it comes to salvage. I think they do pretty okay. I don't know. That's what I. You guys think the same or?
Yeah, I think mentioning Luke,
Makes
yeah,
sense.
he can. I think it was more of not taking the shots as much as is if he's picking up box, he's only at best throwing a single force modded instinctive aim proton torp,
True.
which still may be the right call in certain situations.
And also, Sabine with Beskar is also amazing for picking up boxes.
So with Beskar, she'll still suffer the crit damage. She just gets to toss the card, so the box will still be knocked off.
True, but it's taking 0 damage as a consequence for trying to keep the
Yep.
boxes.
Sure. Yeah.
Not bad.
It's like the equivalent of like an evade token, if you can get it to work right.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I mean, if you throw a proton torpedo at Sabine, and she has a focus and gets all paint, and there's only one crit in there, or it doesn't matter. Like the last one's a crit because it's a proton torpedo. From the 4, and just Beskar awakes. You're looking at him like Sabine can dodge an entire proton torpedo. if she gets all paint. It's pretty hilarious.
But can she dodge a wrench?
Clearly.
Or potentially that salvage mission. We on to the last one then. Scramble.
Yeah, you got the buttons.
Okay. Button pressing. I could see how this is going already. Fielding a surprising amount of I-6 ships. Wedge, Finn, Han, Lando, Hera.
Some Heras, yeah.
Yeah. Lando
So,
out there, yeah.
Lando, new Lando. You can pick that box up at 6. Count it. So that's and of course I5s. You know, I mean, we're talking Luke. Put him up on that pedestal, on top of Gina's and Korans and anything else people are running there. So that's obviously a huge advantage, especially Luke. Like it is laughable to watch a non-force using ship roll up and hit the button, and then Luke just smashes it back and still rolls a 4 dice double forced attack against you. Yikes. So that's obviously a good advantage for pressing buttons. Problem is, though, now that you're in the fight, Rebels hate losing their actions. Fen Rao, he's not going to want to give up on that barrel focus. Wedge, I guess he could still scenario action and then target lock with his droid, but he only gets to do that once. So if you're doing anything else fancy like focus boosting with your wedge, you're not going to be able to press buttons, obviously, either. And then, of course, Lando's coordinating in the Falcon, and Han is probably taking some sort of focus to double a shot. A-Wings, we talked about the high end. There is a lot of like low end, fragile A-Wings. We talked about Sabine, that she's maybe one of the better ones to run up and just press a button real fast because of that added defensive Beskar that she has access to. But most of the ships, maybe turn 2 could pull it off. But man, as the game progresses, they want to press those buttons less and less and less. They're either doing red maneuvers or really want their offensive modifications. So lessens their ability to fight in a prolonged battle in Scramble. The best scenario for them, then?
Good question.
It's
one of the few factions where I think, barring the list, because I think B-Wings have some trouble in Scramble.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Maybe, and even the B-Wings specifically, those Gina and Braylon has trouble in Scramble and Salvage because you can't barrel roll holding boxes and they can't spare their action and then get unless Braylon links and Gina does a scramble and then shoots proton that's only lock modded and maybe but that's why you need other ships in that list to do other things for them so that they can just do the damage. But I think the Rebel faction in total doesn't really have a bad scenario, but they might not have one that really stands out best for them. I think, Marcel, you said you like Salvage a lot for them, though, right?
Yeah, just because they have so many ways to generate crits, and in general, they tend to be pretty beefy.
So you're saying that their best scenario is Savage mission.
Boxes, yeah.
No, Savage mission, where you just watch your opponent pick up boxes and then you knock them off.
Sure. Well, Sabine and Keo pick their box.
While you find one box carrier, and it runs off with one for a round. That.
Yeah, I mean, it does. It's not.
Makes sense to me.
Out there that's their entire. For example, if you're flying Jendon, Vader, Tomax, and +1, plus a 4-pointer, usually Vizier, Boxes is basically just kill anyone who has a box. Like that's your mission. So I think the rebels can do well picking up 1 or 2 boxes and playing the you pick up that box, you die game.
That's a take I have to agree with. I don't. What is happening in this podcast? I'm agreeing with Marcel. What? No, you're making good points, my man. Let's move on to obstacle placements. I got a visual here for you. Watch it on YouTube. If you only listen
applies to
to
one
us.
of the things.
Well, I threw it up. If you're only listening to us on podcasts, check out our Twitch on Monday, or the YouTubes afterwards in the week.
I can go through these a little quick because since Rebels right now isn't really as defined as it used to be with Han, Luke, Keo plus Fen or plus 2 things, Sabine, Ty, and another 3-point thing, because that's what it was really set and defined as for most of the whole year leading up to Worlds. Without that, we kind of lost some of the game plans originally for playing against Rebels. So right now it's a little bit in flux. I would say if you're going up against B-Wing lists, B-Wing centric, that rock triangle we've talked about in the past that we would set up against ARC 170s, and it varies maybe on the the objectives, maybe where specifically the points of that triangle are, but just make the middle of the board difficult for the B-Wings to fly through. Because they want to point as many locations as they want to be able to point wherever they need to, and if you can interrupt that as best as possible, do so. What I like to say specifically against the B-Wings, because the arcs kind of follow the same trend, when you are facing your opponent, that triangle I like to call build the roof, don't go in the house. So you make a simple drawing of a house, which is the triangle roof, and the square of the house underneath it. That square of the house is the middle of the map that is the most dangerous that the arcs and B-Wings can get to and put a lot of damage into. So you build the roof to make it difficult for them to go through that zone, but don't go into the house, since the house is where is likely very clear of obstacles. So, yeah. And then for non-centric B-Wings, it's very going to much depend on what you bring and what obstacles, formations you don't want to see as your list. It can vary very much from ace-centric Imperial to 6-ship slow, no boosty Republic, right? And everything in between. Don't give Luke easy pounce lanes for his attack speed torps unless you can punish him for doing so. If you're going up against like the Wedge Fen duo, apply some anti-flank walls, whether they're on the sides or diagonally, to disrupt how they can cut across the board. Naturally, Fen's a little bit faster than Wedge because Fen can't do 1 banks or 1 straights. And Wedge can, if Wedge boosts, he's depleted, and if he doesn't shoot to clear that deplete, he may want to do a blue so he doesn't have to deplete again to boost another time. So the more you can drag him across the board and make him fly more to his APT target, the better. And more rocks you can impede that, whether they're side walls, diagonal walls. That's what I'd recommend. Any other thoughts you guys have on obstacles against Rebels?
No, that makes a lot of sense. Honestly, the trying to get a formation out for those side bombs is been difficult for me. So I like this house idea that you invite them into your house, but then you try to go around it.
You're the roof builders. You build the roof. You don't go in the house.
Okay.
Yeah. Hey, just make the triangle. Don't go in the area that's open next to the triangle that the B-Wings are going to inevitably be able to cut through much easier.
Okay.
Good for target priorities? Or any, James, Marcel, anything on obstacles you may have found in games with or against Rebels recently?
No, I think like you said, just punching in them up. Consider B-wings your large base ships, and you just want to limit their barrel roll capabilities. So other than that, not really. They're pretty maneuverable. So
All right, well, let's move on
Yeah.
to the target priority then. We got a list of who should you go after first. Ryan, why don't you take a lead on this one because I'm undecided still. I think.
I don't even think these are really a 1, 2, 3. It's more of a you should probably kill the 5-point things.
Ah,
Basically.
that's a good
Boy Luke,
smart.
Fen Rao, BOE Wedge, BOE Gina. Can you go kill a 4-point thing like a Bodica or a BOE Braylon? Sure. Should you try and make sure you guarantee a kill on a 5-point thing before you lose some of your own ships in the fight? Probably. Um, those are more of the end game style pieces that if you take them off the board, the rest of the list may have trouble outputting enough damage or threatening enough of their arcs to burn the rest of your stuff down in return. So Luke, Fen, Wedge are probably the top 3 I would go after. If you could take one of them off the board early, that's very good. Even if it means you trade one of your pieces for it, barring the trade piece. I'm not happy if I trade Luke for Jendon, but I'm happy if I trade Jess Pava for Luke, as an example. Um, but I think the order may depend on what scenario or where they are in the board or what you can put your arcs on, etc. It's kind of a depends situation. I think it's actually probably easier to kill Fen before Wedge, and in the process of killing Fen, if both are in the same list, you limit Wedge's maneuverability throughout the rest of the game. But also, just leaving Wedge to like pretty much be untouched to the mid end game is actually pretty scary. Because he's still a T70 of health that has the ability as long as he hits to get his focus back, so very akin to Luke, and he's an I6. He just starts getting to initiative kill things. So there's not a cut and dry answer. There's to me just the you should target prioritize the things that are 5 points. And if you have multiple 5-point things, if you just kill 2 of them, that is 10 points. And on average, you do half points of your 20 in destruction and half points in objectives in most games.
I'm finding a lack of disagreement there as someone who's shot a 3-point hole uh, for multiple rounds, or tried to chase an A-wing who just turned its turret and left. I think Yawns, it's a desperate gamble sometimes, but yeah, try to ignore those cheap fillers. They're just there to distract you. So yeah, makes sense to me as far as target priority.
So James, whether you've played the list or played against it, what was your target priority if you played against it, or what were you concerned about your opponent killing in the times you've played it?
I definitely want to lose Luke or Wedge too early. And I'd like to have Finn make it into at least that second engagement to make sure that he is range 1 of like a couple ships to make sure he's getting that Concordia. So if you're able to catch Finn unawares with his proverbial pants down out at range 3 with a proton torpedo or something, definitely take advantage of that, because once he gets into range 1, you may not be able to destroy him.
There's definitely going to be a non-zero amount of people that have Fen show up accidentally in too many range 3 arcs, and he takes real damage still.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and I mean, arcs. Fangs. Fangs do just take damage sometimes if they roll blanks. So, if you do see him out there at range 3, and your option is Luke or multiple shots on Finn, and he only has like the one focus. Definitely take your opportunity and see if you can push through some damage on Finn.
Yeah, it's very unlikely that Fenn spends his focus on offense, and if he does, you should super start shooting into that Fenn.
Yes, yeah, especially if that only that one focus, you get a couple range 2 or range 3 shots, can definitely go down real quick. But so can Luke and so can Wedge. These, they're just T65 still. But do not get distracted by the hole, Okand. Even though he does have that APT, it's very hard for him to get it off, and you can fly around hole, but you will not survive the damage that Finn, Luke, and Wedge are able to output.
I
have to agree.
I think that's probably about it.
Yeah.
Unless any more side thoughts on game planning against Rebels from any of us, that I'm good. I got all my notes in there.
Yeah.
So, are we expecting Rebels to be still top of the faction representation?
I'll tell you, they're probably the second top.
Second?
I think you'll get Empire the most, and probably Rebels second.
People just have too much fun.
I don't think it will be as clear cut as Marcel's making it sound like, unless he's just making his prediction. But I think it's going to be. It could easily be either Rebels or Empire at the top. I think it's not going to be so. I wouldn't be surprised if either one is 1 or 2.
So, just coming out of this points change, where the Rebel faction, I feel like, was hit the hardest with Han. In my opinion, do you feel like Rebels still have the same amount of power as they did going into Worlds before the points change, or less, or more? That's an option.
I think it's going to be hard to get up to the level, or know that Rebels are up to the level that Han was consistently good at. But it is nice to, at least for now, feel like the Rebels have more list variations that seem
then
competitive.
Han +3 or Han +4.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
I mean, there was a little bit of like Zach Bart got second at Gen Con, and there was a little bit of play of the Hera, Luke, Fenn, Boudica, Sabine TIE Fighter 5-ship list. That was okay, but didn't get a lot of like additional play beyond that. It was predominantly Han plus stuff. But we have like B-Wing centric lists. We have the like just bring what I would call Rebel quote good stuff. Not that there's not other good stuff, but the list kind of just built itself early on in the list. It was Luke, Fenn, Wedge, Keo, Sabine, right? Just 5-5-5, 3-2, simple. And that's seems good. And then there's other permutations where people have tested out custom Gina, or maybe just Braylon as the only B-Wing. I don't know. We'll see as time goes on if the B-Wings retain their strength over time. They're very ARC 170 adjacent, probably, in that they probably can be game planned against decently well with good turn 0 and pathing, but also they have a wider array of tricks with the bombs and the rolling and the really high-powered secondary weapon shots versus the ARCs that just have really good guns and are medium base.
Yeah, I am excited about just the fact that they have more options than just Han plus friends. Real options. Like there's definitely way more.
That's true. Yeah.
Way more options out there, which I am excited for. Even if those options, you didn't really answer the question, Ryan, which I'll ignore. But even if those options are not as strong, maybe, as Han plus things, I like that there's more.
I would almost say it's a lateral move. Like Han was scary, definitely a gatekeeper, but he wasn't winning every tournament.
That's true.
In fact, his win rate for tournaments was pretty low.
That's true.
So I feel like, if anything, it's just a lateral move that, or increase slightly, because they weren't doing bad before, but they certainly weren't pulling it out all the way. So will Wedge get them the victory they finally need? Who's to say? Who's to say? We'll have to find out in about a week and a couple days. Oh, 2 weeks or so. Well, let's call it 2 weeks by this point, because it's going to be Sunday night. Finals. Oh, I'm so excited. We have Thursday LCQ, Friday for 5 rounds of Swiss, Saturday for 5 more rounds of Swiss, and that top 16 cut on Sunday. Ooh, if you're not on Twitch this week, or not this weekend, if you're not on Twitch the weekend of Adepticon, we're going to miss you. We want you to be there, hanging out with us, watching some games. James is going to be holding it down. I'll try to come in and relieve you, give you some time to not watch 22 games of X-Wing or whatever it is.
Let's go.
I don't know. It's one less this year. No, wait, it's one more. It's the same number, 18. No! No.
Yeah, because it's 4, 10, and then 4. Yeah, 18.
Still 18. Baruto. Yes, that's right.
Yeah, if you make it all the way through from...
No one's going to do it. No one's ever done it.
No one's ever done it?
Someone said in 19,
I mean,
someone did sneak in to the top cut or whatever, but I'm going to fact check that.
What do you mean sneak in?
Last chance qualifier all the way to a top cut.
Yeah, to get into...
There was.
Who?
I don't remember the name, but there definitely was. It was.
Well, so let's also remember the quote cut of the 2019 2.0 Worlds was like a top 100, and it was a lot. Like it was akin to. It ended up going into a single elimination bracket from like a top 64 or top 128, and then just filtered all the way down, basically.
I'm going to redefine my statement and say that no LCQ player has gotten to the top 16 of a Worlds event so far. So, still hoping out for it.
By rankings, you're incorrect. But a cut top 8 was what it was last year. No one from LCQ last year made it into the top 8 cut, but there was someone in the top 16 that was in the LCQ. That was Nate May last year. He finished 14th.
Oh, really? Ooh.
Yeah. But there wasn't a top 16 cut. He was the closest. I was the second closest because I was 18th.
That's right. That's okay. I'll still be battling it out on Thursday. I might be flying some Rebels. Get some of them proxy cards. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because mine probably won't be here in time.
Seems most of the continental U.S. should have it this Friday.
Fingers crossed. Let me tell you, for everybody watching, check out your local game store. Ask them, where's my Battle Over Yavin? Why can't I play it?
Check out Star Wars Unlimited.
Ooh, it's true.
They did say Battle Over Yavin.
Over Endor.
I'm screwing it up here. Why did they call them both Battle?
Because they're both battles.
Siege over Coruscant, I thought was interesting. I think we could get
Could have been
thesaurus
Assault
out.
over Endor.
Oh man. AOE.
AOE.
Great.
Bring them AOE B-Wings.
They should have just called it It's a Trap, to be honest with you. Would have been a great name for the scenario pack. But maybe not as descriptive as Battle Over something. But
yeah,
I'll digress with my suggestions. So I'll save them for Adepticon, and I'll tell these people in person. Anyways, let's get out of here. Our time is up. So I want to thank everybody.
One final thing, real quick,
yes.
for the outro. For anyone who has not yet gotten in touch with me and ordered cookies and want to order their pre-order of cookies, whether it's one half dozen or more. Cookie right here for those watching. I have one. I'm going to eat it after I'm done talking. You'll watch me eat it. You have till the end of the day, the 13th, which probably means anyone listening to when this gets posted, too late. But live listeners, last reminder, get in touch with me if you want 6 of these or more. Or in packs of 6, basically.
And are traveling to Adepticon.
Yeah, and I'm not sending them to people.
Not mailing them.
Nope, not mailing cookies. So, already got a solid amount of people who've got theirs ordered. And very simple. PayPal, Venmo, you get to choose. And they'll be made fresh week of Worlds.
Okay. Very exciting stuff. Again, we'll be back on Wednesday for some more games. Hopefully, maybe get some of those Nickel City games as that season's ramping up to be exciting. Otherwise, we're here every Monday. And, of course, next week, starting on the 21st, we're going to have 18 games of X-Wing plus some bonus stuff. We'll see. Maybe some after-hours stuff. It's a convention. We're going nuts. Going wild. Special guest appearances as well. So, should be an exciting time. I'll see you then. For everybody watching and listening at home, stay safe, stay smart. Gold Squadron out.
Thank you to ISO, Danko, Baffle, Trojan, Prophet, Shadow, Tycho, Spice, Raider, Lancer, Fallen, Row 6, 626, Chief, and J List, our Grand Admiral patrons. And all of our Gold Squadron patrons and community members, thank you for your support. Gold Squadron out.